Tom Willett, what are your thoughts on the 5G controversy? I think there could be some concerns for our long term health, somewhat like asbestos, which we can't predict. However, I also see some quite alarming behavior, apocalyptic predictions, and a denial of science because that's just what insert big pharma, George Soros, etc., want you to think, and is currently being linked to the coronavirus outbreak. Largely spread online, could you see this as a rising decentralized cult as people choose their news and close off outside voices? I don't particularly see this kind of behavior as cultish behavior because, again, according to the modeling that I've put together and that many, many other people have put together, I mean, I just sort of go off their work. Um, Cults are an abusive relationship between a leader and his followers or her followers. Whether it's a one-to-one or one-to-million relationship, there's still that element of it. And I don't see this 5G fear as that. I see it as a cultural phenomena, sociological phenomena, if you will, of groupthink, of distrust of authority, distrust of science, scientific illiteracy, these various factors coming together on a group level to create a fringe, minority of people who are terrified of technology, or terrified of change, are terrified of new, novel technologies that they don't understand, on top of a whole pile of technologies that they also don't understand, which they have already incorporated into their life, and which, for whatever reason, they feel freaked out about. Could these thoughts all come from a single propaganda source? Probably not. It's probably a collection of them because there's plenty of them. I mean, look at all the various conspiracy groups and conspiracy peddlers, from Gwyneth Paltrow's goop nonsense to Alex Jones and David Icke and their nonsense. You've got a wide spectrum of acceptability and believability between these poles. And there's a lot of stuff there to believe. And whenever there's progress, there is always, always pushback against that progress. That's literally the push and pull of any society, is forward progress and the pushback against it, and some forward progress and some pushback against it. And that cycle just repeats across all spectrums, all areas, all subjects. So with technology, fine, we see it with 5G. We used to have this with the cell phones, right? I mean, you were going to get cancer for doing this. And, that can create its own issues because, of course, suggestibility opens the door to people having psychosomatic problems, and that just proves that they were right. And I mean, it's just sort of like this dwindling spiral of madness and irrationality that occurs around this stuff, mostly because it doesn't occur to these folks to actually go get educated on what these technologies are really all about. Often you see shining examples in these movements or these social phenomena of Dunning-Kruger, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the more incompetent or illiterate or uneducated a person is on a topic, the more positive they are that they are right in their assessment of that subject or area or situation. And when people are afraid, fear, that's a default position for a lot of people. They'll go there first. And if they don't know any better and know what else to think about a thing, or they've adopted this view that, Gwyneth Paltrow said it was bad, so it must be bad, then that's where we get those things from. And I wish I could say we'll eventually evolve out of that and we won't have that anymore and everybody can be gotten on the same page. But I have been very, very thoroughly disabused of that notion over time here. And I don't think that's true at all. I think, as we see back in the early 1900s, there were the technocrats who thought for sure that technology was going to save the world and was going to revolutionize politics and leadership and society. Well, it did, but not necessarily in the ways they imagined it would. And, there was this whole push for a while to only have scientists and technologically minded people in positions of power and stuff. And this is sort of the opposite of that, right? It's the pushback against that. And So you can kind of get this stuff going both ways, right? You can get the avidly for and the avidly against, and usually the truth works out, or the eventuality of reality works out to be end up being something in the middle. So, as far as what drives the thinking of people to be that way, there's a lot of factors. I mean, it could be anything from a midlife crisis to a traumatic episode to indoctrination, propaganda, a mixture of all these things. You get the picture. So that's those are my thoughts on this stuff. Whenever I think about these things, or I'm presented with this stuff, this is the kind of stuff I think about. And I just go, yeah, there's another one. Okay, well, hope we get past that one soon. you know, because the next piece of technology will come out, and it'll be, just as terrifying to a whole nother set of people or something. And this is how society rolls out.